The simple fact was that seeing a masculine, unaffected, openly gay man who wasn't unhappy shifted my view of the world of possibility. Hi, this is Mike Balaban. Welcome to BAMMER Tales. Today, I'd like to speak to you about the whole notion of coming out. Coming out is different in every person's case. Each person has an individual story to tell and a way of telling it. It's often perceived as being a single act, but in fact, when one comes out, it turns out you have to repeatedly do that the rest of your life because you're always going to be in the minority and always be running into people who will assume you're straight, and you're going to have to correct their impression and say, no, I'm sorry, I'm gay. And there you have it, another coming out. So back when I was in my 20s, in the 1970s, being gay was a lot harder as a rule than it is today. You could have been thrown in jail right up until a few years before I came out just for being gay. You certainly weren't allowed to socialize and touch each other in bars or in public. You might have been cut off by your family, or you're fired from your job, or excommunicated from your church. Fortunately, that began to change around the time I came out. And in 1976, at 24, I took that step. And the way it happened was the year before, I had started my first job out of grad school in Washington, D.C., and I was working for the government, the U.S. Treasury. And I was closeted. I was extremely unhappy because I hated my job. I hated the city I was living in. And I wasn't able to be my true self. I didn't know that yet, of course, but I was suspecting that I was probably gay. I couldn't get rid of my attractions to men. And on the way to work, I stopped at a newsstand, and I saw a headline that was a 3-part series on homosexuality in sports, which was an incredibly rare topic in those days. The presumption was widely held that male athletes in team sports like football, basketball, baseball, and hockey couldn't be gay because gay men were effeminate and weak and just didn't have enough fortitude and courage to compete in those activities. But there on the headline was Dave Kopay, former NFL Redskin, comes out of the closet. And I was stunned because I was an athlete. I had played sports my whole life competitively. At first, it was because that's what everyone around me did in my southern conservative region and where I was raised. But eventually, I grew to love sports. And I also found it was a very convenient place to hide. By playing sports, everyone assumed I was straight, and as I began to suspect I wasn't, it was a way that I could keep up that masquerade. But then I got out of graduate school, and I didn't have sports anymore to lean on. And as I said, I was miserable, and I see this article, and it says an NFL football player veteran is gay. Oh, my God. That might mean that I really am gay. If he is, because athletes can be gay. So I bought the newspaper, took it to my office at the Treasury Department, locked the door, digested it. My heart was racing, and I wrote him a letter, care of the newspaper journalist. And I said, congratulations on the step you've taken. It sounds like it's challenging, and you have a lot of things to deal with. I'm an athlete. I think I might be gay as well, but I have no idea what to do or where to go or how to start. If you ever get a moment, please, could you write me back? I'd appreciate any advice you have for me. I'm getting chills right now just thinking about it. And I almost didn't include my return address because I lived in the era only a few years after the government had been tracking down gays within the federal employment system and firing them for being homosexual. But how's he going to get in touch with me if I don't put a return address? So I did. I put the letter in the mail, sent it off, and kind of forgot about it. A couple of weekends later, in a gray, wintry December Saturday, I was lying in bed napping in my one-bedroom apartment in Georgetown, and the phone rang. And I picked it up and answered, and it was, hello, is Mike Balaban there? Yes, this is he. Hi, this is Dave Kopay. Oh, my God. He looked up my number in the public directory and phoned me and invited me out for drinks. which happened that evening. And I wish I could say something miraculous happened. We fell in love, or he gave me some secret key to the universe of being gay and in public. That wasn't the case. The simple fact was that seeing a masculine, unaffected, openly gay man who wasn't unhappy shifted my view of the world of possibility and made me realize that I could be gay and could be open about it and was not consigned to a miserable future. That was December 20th or something, 1975. 1 month later, on January 23rd, my best friend from grad school in Boston came down to visit me in Washington and stayed in my apartment. And we're up late at night, and we're talking, and I mustered up the courage to come out to him. And it wasn't easy. And like many people, the first time you do it, you're stuttering and stammering, and you're hesitating, and you're beating around the bush because it's really, really hard. You're taking a chance that someone's going to reject you, and the first time is the stakes are immense. Fortunately, he was supportive. At the same time, he was uncomfortable, clearly. And he admitted that when he was a teenager, he either had a crush or a fling on some boy that he knew, some teenage guy that he knew, and which made him doubt his own sexual orientation. And he'd worked it all out, and he was comfortable now and very clearly straight. And in fact, he ended up marrying a mutual classmate of ours only months later, and I was at their wedding in New York. And they eventually went into the Foreign Service, and they got stationed together in exotic posts all over the world, all of which I visited them at, from Rome to Hong Kong to Paris to Bangkok to Singapore and back to Hong Kong. And for the next 25 years, that was their life. And then suddenly in around 2001 or 2002, while I was visiting in Hong Kong, we were out at drinks, he and I alone. And I said, "What's up with your wife? You haven't mentioned her." He goes, "Well, I have something to tell you. I'm gay, and I came out, and we're divorcing. And by the way, I have a Hong Kong Chinese boyfriend who's waiting around the corner. Would you like to meet him?" Which I did. But as you can imagine, I was stunned, although in retrospect, given how he'd responded to my coming out, it wasn't a complete shock. Jump ahead another 10 years, about 5 years ago, the two of them came to New York, got married at City Hall. I was the sole witness, the best man, and the photographer. And they're living happily today in Singapore. They've left Hong Kong Group because of what's going on with China. In any event, that's my coming out story. Everyone has a different one. I could give some advice that I think would generally be helpful to those who are still closeted and thinking about coming out. I would do it only when you're ready. Don't be forced into doing it by someone else or a perception that you need to. But you will feel much better after you have done it, believe me, and wonder why you waited so long. And I would choose someone close to you who you are pretty confident is likely to be supportive. The worst thing would be to have the first person you come out to reject you. So find somebody who will be supportive, and then the second person as well will be supportive. And gradually, as you've come out to more and more people, even if some of them don't react wonderfully in a supportive manner, it will not be as disruptive to your life. That's what coming out was for me, and I hope it went smoothly for you or will go smoothly for you in the future. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of BAMMER Tales. Stay tuned for future episodes, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Cheers.
Hi, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell. There's lots of content coming that you won't want to miss. Please also like and comment if you have topics you'd like for us to discuss. Thanks a lot. See you next time. With much love and gratitude. Goodbye.